Well, we are gonna make dinner together tonight. I was supposed to make a meatloaf for dinner yesterday, didn't have time, day got ahead of me. Still don't have time to make meatloaf today, but I wanna get the meat that I had thawed. I wanna use that up. So tonight's inspiration is going to be kind of like a Salisbury steak, but not really. You know, I'm pretty much just gonna do like a beef gravy with some Salisbury steak style patties. We're gonna call it good. We're gonna call it dinner. Everyone will like it. Make some mashed potatoes to go onto the side. I'll grab a can of vegetables from the pantry shelf or my freezer. That will be dinner. I'm gonna get that going, bring you along with me as I kind of just use things from my pantry to whip that up. But most importantly, and what I'm excited about, is I'm also going to bring you along for a canning project that I'm doing 5:30 at night on a Monday. Who am I? Running behind is what I am. I have to get this done because they're Christmas gifts. So I am really excited to show you this. It's something that I've done several years now, but it's my first time canning this type of gift. So that will be along with the dinner we're gonna get going. I wanna get dinner going because it's gonna start off on the stovetop and then I'm gonna throw it in the oven to finish cooking while I then kind of refocus to our canning project. So let's get started on the dinner. Okay, so the rundown of ingredients, I've got 2 pounds of beef. I have 1 pound of pork. I don't generally do the pork when I'm doing a patty like this, but because I originally was gonna do meatloaf, I'm just gonna work with it. An egg to have for a binder. My spices is onion powder, garlic powder, powdered mustard, onion flakes. If I put these in, my picky person doesn't seem to mind as much, but if I use real onion, he'll pick them out. So I'll put those in for just a little added flavor, because I don't know if you guys notice a difference, but your onion powder certainly lends that, I guess, onion flavor, but it tends to be a little bit more sweeter than actual like onion. There's a difference between the two. I can't explain it. Freeze dried vegetables, because I have to sneak vegetables in when and where I can. If I'm working with ground meat of any kind, likely going to sneak in some of this. So I usually do some squash and carrots. What is this? Breadcrumbs. Better than beef nor for that boosted beef flavor. Salt, pepper. I'm gonna get that all whipped together and then we'll work on our sauce, gravy, broth, what have you. Best way to measure is using your eyes. You know, just no specific measurements. You just kind of learn as you go through your kitchen journey. My camera just shut off, so I apologize. I might be repeating myself, but you just kind of learn through your kitchen journey how much of what you like of things. You make something and go, oh God, that was a lot of such and such, you know, to just tame it down the next time. Your spices, you can usually, you know, put quite a bit in there without risking overdoing it. Okay, my squash, just a little, because he will pick those out. Well, he won't. He's 14. He doesn't really pick out anymore, but he'll make a, you know, he'll kind of be like, my carrots aren't really the best graded, so there'll probably be some larger chunks in there, but that's okay. Your Knorr has quite a bit of salt in it, so you don't need too much actual salt. So I'm just gonna do a pinch. And pepper. 2 pounds plus the 1 pound. I'm actually gonna do 2 eggs. Okay, let's get it mixed up. Took my jewelry off, clean hands. Now, if I was making actual Salisbury steak, and I don't even want to say that it's the actual because I don't know, the recipes that I've learned from, who knows how authentic they are. But I would be adding a little bit of ketchup, a little bit of mustard. I used the mustard powder, but I would still use the actual condiment as well. You could even do Dijon if you want. I think that's really the only main difference. If I was making my meatloaf, I would be putting in, instead of breadcrumbs, I would be putting in, my family absolutely loves this. I don't remember who I learned it from years ago, but I use a dry stuffing mix. It could be your stovetop, or what I use is the Pepperidge Farm. I grab a couple bags every Thanksgiving, and I'll just use a little bit and store it in the freezer after I open it. And every time I make meatloaf, I'll take it out. Okay, you don't want to overmix, and you don't really want a super wet mixture, just because these are patties, and you don't want them to be super moist like you maybe would a meatloaf. Okay, we're just gonna form a patty. Got a little bit of lard down here at the bottom, just so that my cast iron, stays good and seasoned. You don't want too much fat because obviously we're also working with pork, but this way nothing sticks. While we got the patties sauteing, wow, I can't even open this. I don't think I like how that opened. There, that's much better. That one's much better. 1 pint of beef broth. Added boost and flavor, I'm going to use more of this Knorr powder. A little water. And then some flour to thicken. To make a gravy. Some of this browning and seasoning sauce. The only time I use it is when I am making my own gravies. That's pretty much what it's there for. After flipping, give it a couple minutes to brown on the other side. Now we're going to add in our broth that we just made. And we're going to put it in the oven to finish cooking for probably about 20 minutes, half hour, checking on it. I had leftover that would not fit, so I went ahead and just did this small little pan, laid it kind of flat. This I'm going to treat as a meatloaf, and it'll be good for sandwiches tomorrow. I have 4.5 pounds of apples cut up. My next project here while dinner is cooking in the oven, from Not Your Mama's Canning Book, I am going to be making Moonshine Apples. Every Christmas season, I make some sort of an alcohol beverage to disperse amongst our adult family members and friends, co-workers. And in years past, I've done all different types of moonshine, and I've even done a, let's see, what do we call it? Infused vodka as a gift, and that turned out wonderful. I did blueberry, I did pomegranate. It was really good. So this year we're going to do the moonshine apple slices. It's a little bit different because, you know, I think the point is to use the actual apples, and then of course there's a little bit of the leftover liquid that you could drink. So we'll see how this goes over. List of ingredients: 4½ apples sliced. You will keep the skin on. 3 cups water. I originally was gonna double this recipe, and I just realized I don't have enough apples to double. So, is my sink over on my stovetop is my really big canner double stacked. You might need to change that, but in any event, 4½ pounds of apples with a 1/3 cup lemon juice, just to keep them from browning, of course. 3 cups of water, 3 cups of granulated sugar, cinnamon sticks, well, I don't know, it says 8 whole green cardamom pods. This is what I got. That's what I'm gonna use. Cardamom, cloves, nutmeg, which I forgot to grab, vanilla bean, a 1/2 of a vanilla bean, and you're gonna slice it open to release all of the vanilla pods, of course, the little seeds that are on the inside. I'm probably just gonna use a whole vanilla bean because why not? It's good. And then, of course, what makes it moonshine is an alcohol. We're gonna do 1 cup of 100 proof, plain, not flavored, vodka. Or you could use a plain commercial grade moonshine. You know, they sell that as well. I'm just gonna go with the 100 proof, this is 190 proof Everclear vodka. So it's supposed to make 5 pints. Now, what I love about this particular canning book is, let's just say maybe you're not interested in really like drinking or gifting it out in that type of manner. There is recipes within the canning recipes. There's also references to how you can utilize that particular canning recipe. So if I go to page 201, it tells you how to make a spirited apple dessert. So in case, you know, you're interested in doing that, I have made drunk peaches that uses, I think maybe it was whiskey, I can't remember now. So this is going to be cooked. I don't know how much it's actually going to be cooked off. So I would not recommend doing this to gifting it to children. So let me just, you know, put that out there right away. Okay, we gotta go over to the stovetop because we're gonna start getting our ingredients in. It is a hot pack recipe. Okay, 3 cups of water. 3 cups of sugar. 4 whole cinnamon sticks. Mine are halved. So I'll put 8 in. Some cardamom. I don't know. I don't have green. I have my dried, so, you know, I don't know. That looks good. Some cloves, the vanilla pod. Now, I'm not going to add nutmeg because upon further contemplation, nutmeg is one of those ingredients that I know some people just really hate. So I'm not putting nutmeg in here. Bring it to a boil. Basically what you're doing is trying to dissolve your sugar. If this doesn't make your house smell like Christmas, I don't know what will. Okay, those are done. Have I shown you guys how I make my mashed potatoes? I think I did, so let me show you again. So these are just plain mashed potato flakes. Well, potato flakes, I guess they're not mashed just yet. They don't have like any sort of milk. My dogs are playing in the background. They don't have milk or butter or anything in them. They're just plain potato flakes. I'm just gonna use up what's left in there. Okay, so with plain potato flakes, you don't want to add any milk, butter, anything to them until they're hydrated. And they're always going to take a lot more than you think. So start off with a good fair amount to get them hydrated using boiling hot water. And as they sit for a minute or so, I just made a mess, they will get a little bit thicker as well. So go a smidge over, you know, what you think you want. That's the key to getting fluffy type of mashed potatoes. So as you're whipping them, they get quite fluffy. Definitely feel hydrated. This is when you can add what you want. A fair amount of salt because potatoes just require a lot of salt. And a little bit of butter. A little bit of pepper. You can add some garlic powder, Parmesan. You know, you can doctor it up however you want. When I'm serving it with like a gravy type of dish, I just tend to keep it pretty basic. It's the flavor of that meat and everything that you really are going for. If it's a side to like chicken or something, I generally doctor it up that way. We're gonna plate up dinner. A little bit of mashed potatoes. You see that? Oh, I don't have a, there it is. Get a patty, some of that gravy. Just a little bit. My nephew doesn't really like a whole lot of gravy over everything, and he won't eat peas. He'll come back for a second patty though, and then I have some rolls to serve with it. I like a bed of mashed potatoes. Put that patty right on top and just cover with the gravy. The gravy probably could be thickened up just a little bit more, but you know what? We're not gonna fuss over things like that today. We got a lot of other things to take care of. Some peas. It isn't pretty, but it's gonna be delicious. All right, mixture's come to a boil, so we're going to add the apples. I'm actually gonna strain it first. Give the apples a really good mix, and you're gonna bring it back up to a boil, then turn it down to a simmer for 10 to 15 minutes. Okay, so apples are done, simmered for 10 minutes. You're looking to soften your apples, and you'll know they're ready when it starts to impart like a red color into your syrup. So we're going to remove the apples, get the apple slices into our jars. Now, there is an added step of straining the syrup to remove the like cardamom pods and all of that. Truth be told, I don't mind if those stay in my mixture, so I'm not going to worry about that step. But we do need to get our apples filled into our jars. Okay, jars have the apples and cinnamon stick. 2 jars has the vanilla pod. So now we're gonna get, here's your mixture. Again, you can strain it off if you don't want the, you know, cardamom pods and cloves and such going into your jars, but I think it just makes it look all the more pretty, and when gifting, really, you know, visually tells somebody what they're getting. They can tell it's clearly spiced like an apple pie. Okay, off of the heat. You don't want to add this when your stove is on. I have an electric stove. There's still a risk though. So you want to make sure your burner is off. We're going to add in 1 cup of our alcohol. Do 1 cup. A little more, just because it's the holidays. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I actually am going to reserve just a little bit, so when it cools down, I'll have my husband taste it, because I'm certain I will die. It's fun for mixed drinks, but I won't drink it straight. So he can sip on it. Okay, we're gonna get this into our jars. I can see the vanilla beans, the speckles. Oh, it's so pretty. Very sticky project, so definitely wipe with vinegar. Jars are hot. I managed to get 6 pints, so I'll have to get more apples, a lot more apples, to do more. But this gives me a good indication of how easy it is. It's more or less a pretty quick and easy project. I know my dogs are just probably making all sorts of noises. I'm so sorry. They are having fun playing. I am using regular mouth. Come over here. I'm using regular mouth jars because I gift all regular mouth jars to people. I don't have any, you know, intention of receiving these jars back, and so these are the jars that I will replace every year because those are the ones that I'm gifting. They are going into a water bath canner. The water is very hot, but it's not boiling. If I did not say in the beginning, use apples that are intended for baking, so like a pie apple, or apples that are intended for canning. I used one apple that I knew as I was cutting it and putting it in there that it wasn't going to hold up very well, and I can see it in there as I was scooping the apples, but I don't care. One apple is not going to spoil the whole bunch. But you definitely don't want the entire batch to just disintegrate. One inch of headspace above your lids. You're gonna put your lid on. Bring to a boil, very rapid, fierce boil, and it's going to process 15 minutes. Check your elevation and add 5 minutes per bracket of elevation that you are above sea level. So mine processed for 20 minutes. Okay, my husband's going to try it. It's before it's been water bathed. Of course, I reserved some. It's cooled down, and he's gonna taste it to see if it's really strong. Either way, this is not a recipe for children. It is still going to have alcohol in it. But he'll let you know if it's super potent or not. Ooh, sticky.
Very good. It's got a nice kick to it.
Is it sweet?
Yeah.
We added 3 cups of sugar, so it's also not diet friendly, but it's sweet. It's got a kick. 1 cup plus a little extra just for good measure, and it'll be nice to sip on if you want to do it straight, or would it be good for a mixer to like do mixed drinks?
Yeah, why not?
Okay. Thank you.
I love doing this. Let me do some more testing.
Yeah, taste testing. One last preservation project, and it's homemade Baileys. I got this recipe from TikTok, so I will put the person's name down below to who I got the recipe from. It's not my recipe. I will give her all the credit. It's very fast, simple, easy. What you need is whiskey. I'm using Irish whiskey, of course. You can use half and half, or you can use heavy cream. I'm using half and half just because I don't like it super thick. A little bit of Hershey's syrup. You can use a malted cocoa powder if you want. I don't know where mine is, otherwise I would try that. 3 eggs. I think that's it. 4 ingredients, super easy. So we're gonna start with 1.5 cups of whiskey. Traditionally, you would use Irish whiskey. This first batch, I don't know what type of whiskey I used. For my husband's birthday, I did a whiskey and cigar bar. So I had these little tiny bottles that I had pre-filled with whiskey, and I don't recall what kind it was. So I can tell you it's absolutely delicious. 1 cup of your cream. One tablespoon of chocolate syrup. 3 eggs. These are nice and fresh from my girls, washed. It's essentially like, you know, an eggnog where you have your raw egg in there, if that bothers you. I do know there's recipes that don't have egg. I think they replace egg with oil. And I'm just not interested in having oil in my drink. I have good faith that the amount of alcohol that's in here, we won't have anything to worry about. Okay, we're gonna blend her up. I knew I was forgetting something. You don't want to forget this. A can of sweetened condensed milk. I'm blending this up looking, thinking, this isn't gonna be very sweet, and it's supposed to be. Well, add all the ingredients. Now we're good. Served over some ice. So good. Okay, so makes 6 half pints. Perfect for gift giving. Gonna get lids on them, store them in the fridge, of course, because there's dairy. And find a special someone you want to share these with. It's a very warm, decadent type of drink. Very simple and easy, so if you don't want to fuss with a canner, you don't want to have to think far ahead and spend all that time trying to infuse anything, these make the perfect holiday gift. So we have 2 preservation ideas for you for some gift giving this season. Doesn't take a whole lot of ingredients, really isn't a whole lot of work either. I'd suggest doing it on a day that you have plenty of time. I just like the added extra stress, and I do it on a Monday evening while trying to cook dinner. Why not? Cheers to a holiday season. Merry Christmas, and I'll see you next time I'm in my kitchen.